Check this out.
Oh, yeah!
You are now about to experience the side effect. The side effect.
When you done with all of your hatred and your journey towards the dark side will be complete.
The latest in pop culture, entertainment news, movies, TV, reviews, and more.
Dracarys.
Here are your hosts, Val, Rorist, Chris, Tarzan, and Kevin. The side effect.
Welcome to the first episode of the Side Effect Podcast, where we talk about the latest entertainment news, show, movies, including Game of Thrones, Star Wars, The Walking Dead, Marvel, DC, and more. I'm Roris from the channel Roris, where I talk about all things nerdy. There's also Kevin from the Bat Productions.
Hey there, everybody. I am Kevin from the Bat Productions, where I talk about a lot of different things, particularly Game of Thrones. Probably some of you have heard my What If videos. I hope you enjoy those and the rest of this podcast.
There's Vale from Because Geek.
Hey guys, I'm on Because Geek. If you don't know about it, I just talked about Game of Thrones, basically analysis and predictions mainly, and yeah.
All right, Chris from Smokescreen.
I am Groot. Wait a minute. I thought we were doing like a little more than awkward hellos.
I thought we were too.
Hey guys, I'm Chris from the channel Smokescreen. I primarily cover Game of Thrones, A Song of Ice and Fire, but I occasionally cover my first love, Star Wars. Hope you enjoy the side effect.
And finally, Tarzan from Trial by Trivia.
Yeah, this is Tarzan from Trial by Trivia. My channel, we just test the brain, man. Everything geeky, nerdy, Marvel, DC, random knowledge. Happy to be here.
So we have a ton of exciting things to talk about in this first podcast, including The Last Jedi, Guardians of the Galaxy, the Wonder Woman trailer, and more. But first, let's talk about Game of Thrones and those planned spin-offs, which I'm absolutely losing my mind about, and actually already made a video about it I'm releasing soon. Shameless plug. But what about you guys? What do you think about the spin-offs?
I think, just like everyone else here, when they heard that there were 4 being developed at the time, it was like, oh my god, that's crazy, because we've been trying to figure out what the future of this, show is going to be, because forget it, those books are never coming out. I'm convinced George is lying this whole time. And the shows, though.
You motherfucker.
I was not prepared for that. Well, I mean, listen, come on. I was supposed to come out, what? Winds of Winter was a year and a half ago or something? He's lying to all of us. We're being bamboozled. But
okay.
the spin-offs are
no
going to be so
Kevin
good.
Anymore because, no. Who else wants to talk about it?
I think there's actually, 5? They're supposed to be writing up 5. Yeah, the whole thing with, I guess a lot of people wanted Robert's Rebellion and Duncan Egg, which I believe are off the table now. And I don't know. I mean, I have mixed feelings about it. He said the reason was that he didn't want to tell the same story that we would know by the end of Dream of Spring. But it's like, I don't know. For TV-only people, we got a lot of references to Robert's Rebellion, but I don't know why he would take that off the table.
Yeah, and while I'm not big on Robert's Rebellion, still there's something to be said about just because you know the ending and you know everything that is going to happen, it doesn't mean you don't want to watch it. I mean, think about movies you love. You watch it over and over again and you know the entire plot. So I don't think he's exactly right on that assessment.
Right. I mean, the entire show Game of Thrones is based off Ice and Fire, which was probably read by most people first.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think we're getting?
This is going to be a shit show
What
podcast.
I would like, what I think is practical are 2 different things. As far as what I would like, of course, like the Dance of Dragons, something. I don't think they can afford to do it.
Oh yeah, the CGI would be insane.
Exactly. And what makes the most sense, and this is where I'll probably get you guys on my ass, Robert's Rebellion, because they own the rights to it, that makes the most sense, but I guess that's off the table now. But the other thing that I think is possible, that they might go in a direction, because it's kind of been hinted at that maybe they continue with some of these same actors. We don't know who's going to be at the end, and they might just, what's west of Westeros? You got Sutheros, and I think it would open up a good story, and there's been hints to it, but that would be my guess.
Well, unfortunately, George came out and said that there will be no sequel type things. It will all be prequels. So we're not going to see anything during modern Westeros time or A Song of Ice and Fire time or after. It's all going to be set before the beginning of the series time, unfortunately, because I'm kind of bummed out about that too.
It will be completely different actors. So, but the one thing that I did hear is that it's going to be it's not going to be set in Westeros even. Like it's going to be in another continent. So I was thinking about the rise of Valyria, maybe.
How crazy would that be with them expanding and starting the free cities, and then we have their slaves trying to get away, and we could
Yeah,
actually
the Doom.
follow. Yeah, we could follow like one of their slaves and him trying to escape and actually farming
yeah.
Bravos or something like
Oh,
that.
the
You know, because the
Faceless Men.
Faceless Men started in their minds. The one guy that heard all of them praying to the gods, and he's like, no one, they're not answering. So that would be really cool too.
Yep.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It was on my list. The rise and fall of Valyria and how the Faceless Men started.
Oh yeah, there's so much history to that. It's amazing, and so much conflict and drama, and they can milk tons of seasons out of that.
We got the rise and fall of Valyria. We have the Dance with Dragons. We could have potentially the Long Night, although I think that could be, I don't know, just people sitting there in the darkness. So I'm not sure how that would work.
Well, that would be more like a horror movie.
Yeah, exactly.
They could
Or
make
maybe
a really
just something
awesome
on the Ashai. I would be happy with anything on the Ashai, just something.
Well, you know what I really wanted? Longstrider, who went around, traveling and writing the wonders of the Song of Ice and Fire world. How cool would it be to follow him in a series where he's going to all these places? And I was kind of thinking he'd be like the guy from Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Super awkward and just book smart. And then he's just getting into all this shit. He goes to these crazy places. I think it could be a lot of fun and is open to a lot of different locations because that guy was everywhere.
Yeah. Well, actually, right as you said that, I thought immediately about Fantastic Beasts.
Yeah, that is exactly what he reminds me of every time there's a reference about him. I'm like, oh my God, it's totally him. Wearing an awkward outfit and everything. It's going to be
Yeah,
amazing.
Tarzan is all about the wonders.
Yeah, that's probably another day, though. Yeah, I think there's a lot of similarities to the ancient seven wonders of the world.
I also thought about, and this is absolutely not going to happen, but this is kind of a want, but it's not, feasible. How cool would it have been to have one season per Targaryen king? I realize there's 17 kings and a queen, so that would be impossible. They're not
Oh,
doing
that's what I
17,
said
18
too.
seasons.
Oh, it's perfect because you could see all these. You could see all these Targaryen kings that you hear about all the time. Especially when Tywin was questioning Tommen about what makes a great king and stuff, and all these names get thrown out, like Baelor the Blessed or like Maegor the Cruel, stuff like that, and we could actually see these kings work out. And that could also hit in a tiny portion on something like the Blackfire Rebellion with like Daeron II. So obviously we don't have to do a whole series on it because some of these like conflicts like the Targaryen Civil War probably don't warrant a whole series on its own. But in the format you just said, where maybe like a season per king or a couple kings, I think that would really work out.
Each season ends with that king dying and then a new one coming to the throne. And they could do so much drama with it because we know a lot of those kings had some issues. And I think that would be amazing, but there's no way they're going to do like 17 seasons.
I think that's a good possibility. He's that seems to be his favorite thing to write about is Targaryen history. He seems to be adding to that collection now instead of writing The Winds of Winter for that matter.
Yeah.
Oh my God, there's going to be incest constantly though, which I think is kind of that's going to blow that surprise.
Yeah. They're making incest popular again.
Oh my God!
Wait, was it ever popular?
If you're Targaryen, yeah.
I know every single time I hear George say, I've been working on this for months with them. I'm like, you son of a bitch, you're not writing those books.
Exactly.
But it's going to be okay. I'm not going to tell you how to live your life. I'm just going to show up at your house and beat the shit out of you. Actually, I shouldn't say that word. It's publicly. Yes.
I don't know. I kind of understand it though, because it's kind of like that crippling perfectionism, and the expectations are so high right now for that book.
Well, and he's terrible with deadlines. He said that he's a slow writer, and I also think he's kind of a stubborn man. So imagine people being on your ass all the time and telling you what to do. If I was a stubborn old man, I'd be like, I don't wanna. You can't make me.
Oh, that's George.
Yeah, I actually said in a recent live stream, wouldn't it be cool if he was trolling us the whole damn time and he comes out with Winds of Winter and Dream of Spring at the same damn time?
Possible.
But
so who's bringing the pitchforks and who has the torches?
Right.
But it's kind of genius because everyone's going to praise him. They're going to say, man, that was a jerk move. I'll get to this in 2 weeks to be mad at you. Right now, I have to read.
Exactly.
I did feel really bad for him when he said, I know as soon as I publish the next book, it will take a matter. He said something like, immediately I'll be harped on about the next book. So I feel like he does have a lot of that stress where he's like, what's the point? I'm going to finish this. I'm going to bust my ass. And then you guys are going to be on me for the next book constantly. It's just never going to end.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be over pretty quickly. For sure. There's some speed readers. I am not one of those.
I did want to say something else about the spin-offs. There was one thing that someone pointed out that, like, I think Brian Cogman, that was one of the writers for one of the spin-offs, has his profile picture on Twitter is of the Dance of the Dragons. So, I mean, like, it might not mean anything. And I know about the whole CGI and all that, but there's that.
Confirmed. Val just said it's happening, so.
we called it here first.
Yeah, if it doesn't happen, take your frustrations out on Vale.
Yeah, that's youtube.com/becausegeek.
Feel free to send her tons of nasty messages.
Thank you, guys. You're the best.
Often. You're going to be George R. R. Martin for a day. But seriously, though, I have to touch on the George thing. His attitude is so awesome about the whole book thing because, you know, people are kind of insensitive when they go, I need him to get out Winds of Winter because I'm afraid he's going to die before it's done. And I remember the one interview I saw, he was like, I think it's really rude when people say that and they can go F themselves, and gave the finger to the camera.
Yeah, that's the photo I always use in my videos of him flicking off the camera because I think it is hilarious. Yeah, it is really super rude. Like, a man of your age with your BMI index, do you really think you can last much? Like, fuck you. Legitimate question, but still super rude. You know, it's kind of like, what's that quote from The Dude? You know, you're not wrong, but you're still an asshole.
Oh, absolutely. And,
yeah, I think it's a valid concern, and I certainly hope he's got an inner circle there that knows the ending of this damn thing. And yeah, it may sound selfish, but it's the truth.
I guess kind of steering it, because for spinoffs, I admit, I did a video on it, and most of my ideas were ones that he canceled, and, you know, Dunk and Egg and Robert's Rebellion, they were actually the two most likely on my list. And I had a sequel one, which I didn't think would be good, but that's now ruled out. And I was pretty much down to Targaryens and the freaking Dance of Dragons. So I'm out of ideas. Does anyone have any ideas that we haven't talked about yet for the spinoffs that could possibly be?
I did a top 10 video I'm releasing, and I think the first 6 were all about Targaryens. And then I was like, oh God, I gotta stop. Okay, one more about Targaryens. I'm trying to, besides the Faceless Men, I wanted Essos history. I thought Nymeria would be cool, although Dorne kind of wasn't handled too well, so I don't know how enthused people would be. I thought early Westeros history would be awesome, like going through maybe the beginning with the giants and the children of the forest, then seeing the first men come through the Arm of Dorne, seeing the conflict between the children and the first men, and then see the children creating the others, and then all of a sudden they get out of control, and then we end season 1 with the others just going crazy, and then season 2 is the first men against the others, and then we see the last hero, and then the end of season 2, I've thought about this too much, the end of season 2, they finally defeat the others, and we see the wall being constructed. I thought that would be really cool.
Yeah, I would love that. The question is CGI really an issue for them? I mean, they had the Battle of the Bastard episodes where they couldn't put in Ghost and 1-1, but then you look at the Children of the Forest that they do in a similar fashion. They have a full body prosthetic, right? That takes like 12 hours to put on. That would be insane.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. I guess my question to you guys, how popular do you think the spinoffs are going to be? Are they going to get even close to the same numbers as the main show?
Depends on the spinoff.
I would say no. I don't know.
There's no way. It can't. I mean, not HBO. Game of Thrones is, like, by far, I think, the most popular show HBO ever had. And that's including, like, Sopranos and Sex and the City and shows like Entourage and stuff. So it's going to be so hard to even come close to those numbers. But they're going to try to do what they can probably by making sure that Game of Thrones is in the title somewhere. Kind of like Fear the Walking Dead. It'll be Game of Thrones, the Targaryens or something.
Yeah.
So they'll try to draw them in, but, you know.
That's a good idea because these spin-offs will be more targeted towards the book readers because the people who are watching the shows, they don't really care about all this history and all this stuff that happened beforehand.
See, that's exactly what I worry about. Like, for the spinoffs, okay, you're already only going to get a fraction from the show, but then on top of that, does show-only watchers really care about the history? So they have to throw something in there that gets them jazzed up. But, I have the perspective, I started reading the books, I think, like 16 plus years ago, which makes me feel awful every time I say that. So I don't know. I'm so invested in the books. I love everything. But do show-only watchers have that investment?
Yeah, that's the question.
Does anyone here have that perspective? Like they started with the show first, not the books?
Yeah, I did.
Well, I was kind of a hybrid. I'd watched the show, went back and read the books, but then I read them and realized I'd read one or two back in the college days. So it was kind of a hybrid story for me, but
Weird.
I'm sure that's unusual. But yeah, I don't know. I think anything they throw up with the label Game of Thrones on it would do very, very well. And the book readers will be there just to hate on it anyway.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh my
People-
God.
As much as people love watching what they love watching what they hate.
Exactly. So yeah, book snobs, if you want to call them that, they would be there just to bang on it.
Totally.
Yeah, and I don't get that when people do that. And, I praise the show and they're like, well, you're obviously a show pleb. I'm like, dude, I started this 16 years ago. I am fully invested in the books, but I love the show for the show, even when it deviates, except for that goddamn Sword of the Morning, Dawn. That pissed me off and I'll never let that go. I'll never let that go.
Oh, that sword sucked.
Yeah, that
Oh
sword
my gosh.
sucked.
It's like everyone was sitting around going, wait, was that Dawn? Are we sure that was Dawn? Then you look at it and you're like, well, there's like a sunrise on the hilt. So that's
Right.
got to be Dawn.
Yeah,
It
and
just
then they
looks
confirmed
nothing
it.
like how it's described.
And then it pissed me off. I'm still
Oh,
angry.
absolutely.
I'm still bitter. I have people on my channel that are like, you need to let it go. You need to let it go. I'm like, I'm not letting it go.
And then a lot of people complain about the dual wielding because it wasn't like that in the books, but I kind of dug it for TV. I thought it looked badass.
I actually did think that looked badass. When I saw it in the trailers, I was like, oh God, please no. And then seeing it in the show, I was like, yeah, that actually works. So
Yeah,
I'll give
totally
it-
from a visual standpoint. I mean, if they're going to shrink down the number of Kingsguard that were there at the tower, I mean, they did shrink the number of Starkmen too, but it really did look way cool. I don't think anyone has ever wielded two swords on the show, so it just further drove home that Arthur Dane is like super awesome. So I dug it. It was like when I saw Darth Maul with the double-bladed lightsaber. I'm like, this isn't a thing, but I love it.
Right. Yep.
But I approve.
So any other ideas on the potential spinoffs, so-called spinoffs? We had obviously Aegon's Conquest possibility, Valyria. I think that's a strong possibility with his Fire and Blood stuff coming out.
Do you think
Dance
they
with
would
Dragons,
see
Long Night.
the major regions being created, like the great houses and their legendary figures? Do you think they would do that? Like, oh, how the Starks... Would that be boring to watch the Starks just going around the north and beating the shit out of other houses?
No.
Yeah, it
God,
kind of
no.
goes back to what we were saying before. If the majority of show watchers only care about that kind of history, but then again, a lot of people, if you put some swords, some sex, and some blood in it, they're going to watch it anyway.
Oh,
Sure,
and
that's
tons
how
of
we got
drama,
here.
yeah.
I'll add this real quick. I think one thing they have to do, because no matter whether you want to bitch about the show or not, it's one of the best looking shows out there. And I think they're definitely going to have to add new areas. I don't think they're going to beat the same grounds. It wouldn't make no sense just from a director point of view. Like you said, I mean, they're going to have to go other places or places that are destroyed now. Maybe Harrenhal or something. Who knows? But just something that is going to be eye candy. I think. I mean, that's just something I think they definitely have to add. I mean, that's one of the things Game of Thrones does so well. It looks great.
That's why I liked Longstrider, because you could go to so many different places and crazy places too.
Yeah, true.
Love that
For sure. Maybe I missed this while we were talking, but we came up with ideas, like we said, Valyria and Targaryen King. Did we say Aegon's Conquest? I don't even know if one of us just said it.
I did mention
Yeah.
it. We did.
Okay.
I was going to talk about the CGI issue with that, but I kind of mentioned it somewhere else, I believe. But
Okay.
although you don't have to have dragons everywhere all the time, so it wouldn't be that big of a deal.
Yes,
Exactly.
Yes, you do. Vale, yes, you do.
You need dragons, but it's not like Dance of Dragons where there was like 13 dragons at the
Right,
time.
right. That's what I mean. You still have 3 like you do on the show now. Wouldn't have to see them every damn minute of the episode, but
Yeah.
And
okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
Aegon's Conquest, do you think they would start with, him at Dragonstone and then going to Essos, fighting a little bit there, and then heading to conquer Westeros?
I would hope they would start at Dragonstone and show how he kind of how he did it in a way where he made himself a Westerosi. That would be cool. Where he came up with the sigil and said I'm one of you and that type of thing and gave everybody a choice. You know what I mean? Besides,
Oh yeah, the letters he
burned
sent out.
Well,
absolutely.
I mean, couldn't it could maybe open up with like the Doom, kind of like a flashback, not really a flashback, but kind of like a prologue.
Oh, like
they
a
showed it-
Dany's the Dreamer prologue.
Yeah.
Yeah, like she wakes up from a
Yeah,
dream
yeah,
and tells
exactly.
her father, I've seen this, and then we show them moving away, and then flash forward to the Doom happening, and then the Targaryens on Dragonstone. That would be awesome. And I also, what I like about Aegon is, and I keep saying drama, but drama really makes shows for a lot of people. Him having 2 sister wives, and Visenya's not the favorite, seeing that relationship dynamic between the sister he really likes and the sister he's not so much, that would be a lot of drama right in there. Especially after, oh wait, is that spoilers? Can we not go into spoilers about what happens to his wives?
I think it's already happened, right? So, no, I get it though. Yeah, that would be an interesting dynamic between those two. That would be damn sure TV drama.
Sure.
That kind of reminds me of that new show. Sorry, I'm not going to change the topic. I'm just going to say there's a new show about like a threesome or something. Not a threesome, but like a couple that was actually 2 girls and 1 guy who
where
are
are we going?
happily in a relationship. Nowhere. We're back to Game of Thrones now.
I would have lost
And
it.
now it's
I would have lost it if
Now it's
Val
a-
was talking about Three's Company. I was like, it's from like the 70s.
I would actually be interested to see how they present the 2 sisters and see how audience feels about each one, because I've had mixed reactions on my channel about the 2 sisters. Like, people are like, oh, this one's better, this one's the better one. But to see how the general audience views them, I think that would be a lot of fun too.
Oh yeah, and how that could divide like the fandom into teams.
Oh God, yes.
that is true.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
I'm
there's,
thinking of some stupid shit.
What, Marsha and Jan from the Bradys? It's that all over again. Marsha.
I'm Team Visenya.
What is it with my 70s references? Sorry.
Hey guys, I don't know if it was mentioned I think when Chris was talking about the what was it, Robert's Rebellion and Duncan Egg not being done. It's not as a spoiler. It's actually that's why they're not doing them, because it would spoil the story that George R. R. Martin still has to tell, that he still wants to write more about it in following books, and he doesn't. For Robert's Rebellion, he wants to reveal a few more things in following books, and he doesn't want the show to catch up with him again. But that's Duncan Egg is the one that he doesn't want the show to catch up with him again.
Oh.
Yeah, that's true with the Duncan Egg piece, though. I wanted to see Bloodraven's backstory. He's one of my favorite characters. I wanted to see him as Brendan Rivers and going through all his trials and tribulations, losing an eye to Bitter Steel, although they didn't do that in the show for some reason. But I wanted to see that really bad.
I want to see who Dunk gets it on with, because we know he's an ancestor of Brienne of Tarth.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
want to see the ladies that he's, and we know a certain redhead disappeared. So I don't know. I'm a little intrigued to see who he starts boning, because every piece of artwork I've seen of him that George has like okayed, man, that guy is hot, hot, hot. So
I love the word boning. I have to throw that out there.
Oh,
but
shoot.
George said that he has up to 10 more stories to tell about Duncan Egg. And one person responded, this is so horrible. Wow, he's awfully optimistic about his lifespan. I'm like, oh my God.
It goes back to that again.
But 10
It's
stories
true
is
though. You
quite
gotta.
bad.
I get that.
Yeah, I
All
mean,
this
it's a
book-
reality. I mean, as a fan of creation of George R. R. Martin, death is inevitable. So it's a matter of when the clock runs out, and he's up there.
Well, and it's better that he's staying optimistic and working than being like, well, I'm going to die soon, so fuck it, I'm not going to do anything else. Screw you guys. I'm just going to chill in my home. So the fact that he's still optimistic is a good sign.
Yeah, and he also is willing to give his ideas to other people to finish his books, I think.
Yeah, Ilya
I know he
Lin-
doesn't want other people writing in his world, but I don't know about finishing the stories that he's
Oh,
writing.
he said no. I need to dig that up. I was going to do a video about that. So he got asked about it and he said, no one will ever finish the series. And I was like, whoa. So I don't know if he was referring to even in death, that he's like, no one will finish it. But he got like really aggressive where he's like, no one else will finish my books but me. So that actually kind of worried me a little bit because, there's other series like Sanderson jumped in and finished the Wheel of Time series, and he did a phenomenal job. I think Sanderson could actually do a great job with World of Ice and Fire, but yeah, that kind of worried me when he got aggressive about that. But it's his baby, so I kind of get it.
I mean, he shared the ending generally with Dan and Dave. So, I mean, at least we would kind of have that to go off of as kind of a blueprint. I mean, not everything's going to end up the same, but I guess that's good. We won't just be sitting there going like, okay, so this great war is supposed to come. What's going to happen? So at least we'll get satisfaction from the TV show, if not from the book. So, I mean, I guess that's something.
Yeah, and I'm sure his inner circle, Elio and Linda especially, has some details.
Yeah, how do you guys feel about, like, even the whole, like, no one writing the books, but the whole thing being revealed, like, just the ending instead of an actual book? I mean, this is hypothetical. I don't think they would do that. I don't know, but...
Like, are you talking about if he passed away, where they would just reveal the ending of the book, or...
No, I'm just saying, like, how do you guys feel about getting, instead of a fully fledged book, just telling you how it ends?
I don't think it would bother me because, you know Han Solo dies, but we're still getting a movie about his life. So to me, it's like, yeah, I know the ending, but that doesn't mean I can't enjoy, I don't know. It wouldn't bother me, but I also didn't get bothered when the show revealed certain things. Like, we know now for sure John was coming back, or is coming back in the books, although I don't think anyone really doubted that.
I agree. I hate reading. I really do. So if I could avoid just a mountain and phone book of pages to find out the ending, that's great. But at the same time, I'm going to feel a little cheated because it's kind of like, you labor through all this detail to find out some pretty cool stuff, though, because it's so elaborate, it's so cool, and that's what's great. But I would feel a little cheated.
So you grab a book and just go to the last page? Is that's how you do it?
Oh my God, it's not that easy, Chris. You go with the first, go to the middle, and then the end.
I got you. So you read 3 pages.
Yeah, it's called commitment, Chris.
Right, got you.
I can just imagine you reading the last 3 pages of each A Song of Ice and Fire book being like, what the fuck is going on? It would be really confusing.
Oh, yeah. Okay, guys, so we can talk about Game of Thrones forever, but we need to talk about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Mm-hmm.
We all went to see it last week.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, come on, it's a huge movie. You got to check it out.
Oh yeah. I have a lot to say about it, but I know you Kevin, you've got some stuff to say.
Yeah, Kevin, you got some shit to start with? We're all ears. How did you feel about Volume 2, Kevin?
You're all terrible because
we're all
I'm
fascinated.
being vilified, okay?
What was the first thing? What's the first thing you had to say?
The first thing I have to say is, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna say it. It wasn't as good as the first one. All right.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
You can't just say that movie was awesome. No, you have to start with it wasn't as good as the first one. Like,
listen, maybe you could live in your lollipop world, but I live in the real world, lady. And in the real world, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 was not as good as the first one. And there are a few reasons why.
the real world.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you for being on my side. Yes, there were specific reasons. I mean, I could get into them. Maybe you all want to talk a little bit more about it.
No, why don't you get into them? So, point 1, what didn't you like?
The first thing I did not like about it, and I have to admit, from a storytelling standpoint, I don't know if they could have done it any differently and had a cohesive movie. I didn't like that they split up the Guardians. I know they had to go this Peter Quill, Star-Lord, side story about finding out whose father was and everything. But I didn't like the whole setup. I was just so used to the first movie, they were all together pretty much the whole time, other than when I think Gamora and Star-Lord got captured by the Ravagers. Other than that, it works. They have a whole team dynamic going, and Baby Groot is, although he was freaking adorable, I don't know, he wasn't the same Groot at the same time. So I didn't like them being split apart, so the dynamics of the group shifted, although it did allow some good character development for someone like Yondu and figuring out how their, ego, the father is pretty terrible.
Yeah.
So that was point one.
That was the point of the whole movie, I feel like, though, was showing them as individuals or pairing them off to kind of come back together because they were a very fractured team. So they needed to split apart and deal with the issues they have in order to come back together and be a stronger team, as we see at the end of Volume 2.
I don't know. Chris, give me help.
Yeah. Let me jump in here. Look, I got to agree with Kevin to an extent. I don't think overall it was a better movie than the first one because it was a different type of movie. It's more character development.
That's right.
We found out about some backstories, kind of why, like, For example, while Rocket's kind of an asshole most of the time because he's basically just like Yondu. And it was odd for me as far as the villain goes. It was that Star-Lord's father, Kurt Russell, was an odd villain, although I kind of dug the idea. So there's a couple of things I could be picky about, but it was, overall it was still a great movie, but I would just say based off the type it was, where the first one was all over the top action, completely different type of Marvel movie, this thing was more of a character development thing, which is needed, which is great in and of itself. But just overall.
See, I felt this movie had so much more heart to it. Just there was so much more emotion. The first one, maybe I teared up a little bit at the beginning with the mom dying. This one, man, it wrecked me for the rest of the day. I went to a wedding afterwards. I was like, I am just fucking wrecked.
Like, the second I got out of that theater, like, my first thought was just like, holy shit, this was awesome. I had so much fun. And, like, I will admit that it may have to do with the fact that I can't fucking remember what happened in the first movie. Right? Like, I watched it so long ago. But that's the thing. That's the thing. Like, you guys are comparing them when you're supposed to be judging them separately. Like, I think it helped me not remembering the first one. It's just to be able to enjoy all the awesomeness that this one had to give us. I mean,
to be fair, we were asked to compare them, but yeah, I mean, like,
wait, what?
we were asked to compare them, so we kind of had to. But I mean, yeah, no, I think I'm not saying it was horrible by any means. I think it was great, and I think it's the same franchise, so I kind of it's like a different chapter, volume 2, right? But I don't know, it just had a couple things that were odd, but I didn't hate it by any means.
No.
And I love the colors.
Okay, so right now it looks like it's around like 2-2 as far as this goes. What about you, Tarzan? What are you thinking?
I don't try to compare the two, but what if one's better than the other. I ask myself, is it consistent to the storyline? Yeah, it's absolutely consistent to the storyline. Were there some dead parts? Yeah, but there were some dead parts in the first one too. I wasn't really big on the whole ego storyline. I mean, I get it. I definitely loved the character development of Yondu as well as Nebula. I think they did a damn good job there. I hate that Yondu died, but they did it right. The ending was pretty cool. I mean, even like the first movie, the opening, we had that sad scene, and then he's singing in the Rats. That had me laughing my ass off. And then this one was just kind of Baby Groot jamming out and everybody kicking ass. Drax, I won't call him Batista. But and he sells that character, I think, very well. I didn't think he would be able to act to save his life, but he does a damn good job playing the big muscle-bound dumbass. And if I don't know if any of you have seen like some of the Guardians cartoons, it's very consistent. I don't know. I enjoyed it. It was a good movie.
I heard Ego in the comic books is completely different. That like he has no human form.
He does have the desire to find other people like him. Like, he was going out trying to create people that had the connection, but it was more like, finding another planet that has sentience too and stuff like that. So it had elements of it. But yeah, they changed quite a bit of it, and obviously Ego is not Star-Lord's dad in the comics. I guess they just did not want to go with his real dad, and they wanted a twist. But, I really liked the movie, but there was also things that I didn't necessarily like. So overall, I think it was great development, and I think I'm just tired of kind of intro movies where we're introducing and then getting the team together. So maybe that's why I didn't like number 1 as much.
So actually that kind of this whole ego thing kind of ties into one of the things that I also didn't really enjoy about it was I felt like, although I guess you can make the argument for the first one that the Ravagers would fill this role, I didn't like there was this like dual bad guy. Like the Sovereign were so annoying throughout this movie. I hate how they just kept coming up and attacking the Guardians, but there was also the Ravengers. Then of course there was Ego, but we didn't know Ego was a villain until towards the end when he tried to turn, Star-Lord into a battery basically. So it was so like, it seemed like there was a bunch of gnats flying around the rest of the movie for me. And I was like, dude, can we get these golden people out of here? It's so old.
The Sovereign definitely were the weakest part. And I got the jokes, like, when they're rolling out the carpet for her, and I hated that. I know it was supposed to be like cringy funny, but it felt so overdone. Yeah. I hated that part.
Yeah, I didn't like that aspect either. Actually, a bunch of damn gamers is all it was.
Yeah. Gold-plated gamers.
I think another issue with it that I didn't like, I felt like it was trying too hard to be funny, and they were cramming too many jokes in it to the point where there was an emotional scene that I was invested in, and it kind of, in the back of my head, was like, okay, what Joker stupid thing are they going to do to kind of ruin this moment? So I feel like because they forced jokes in it so much, it kind of ruined some of the other scenes and made it so you couldn't get as involved in it because you were just waiting for the next slapstick thing to happen.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I was going to say. It's there were some jokes that were like, completely unnecessary. I mean,
the nipples one.
I liked
that. Oh my god!
Oh, the nipples.
The nipple one was
sensitive
funny.
nipples, and then when he like puts it on, and he's like, my nipples.
That was the funniest part.
No, God, I thought that was so.
Maybe they were
terrible.
appealing to a whole bunch of different humors, but the one I didn't like was I liked the whole joke about the guy's stupid name. What was it like?
Taserface.
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 But when he was telling that gold woman to tell everyone what he did and all that, and she laughed at it at his
She
thing.
starts laughing.
I don't know. I feel like it would have been better if she kind of just like remained silent and didn't laugh. And I thought that would have been funny enough. But I think that's just me. I don't know. I feel like her laughing kind of like ruined the whole. It took me out of the experience a little bit. But they were trying to like break that third wall, right?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it's tough because this one they did go for humor a lot, and I think that's what Baby Groot pretty much was the entire time. The humor that I thought maybe was going over the line, but although this kind of contradicts in a way because I think Drax was a star of the movie for sure, like a top 2 or 3 star, was when he kept making jokes at Mantis. Well, not jokes, but calling her ugly basically over and over again.
Yeah. You're beautiful.
Yes, on the inside.
And like, I think it's funny, but I was like, wow, he's did this. This is like the 4th time he's done it. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, in a weird way, I give it a plus and a minus for that exact kind of segment, but that's part of the reason why I don't think it was as good. But I guess since we talked a lot about character development being really important for this movie, maybe kind of going along the lines of what I just said, who were like stars that you thought came out of this movie? Like maybe their stock rose from the previous movie. And it's like, yes. Because for me, the one I'm picking is Drax. Because although he, like, all of his background story was talked about in the first one, about like his family being killed by like Thanos and stuff, or is it Ronan? I'm mixing it up in my head.
I mean, because you hear him say it, but because he's so unemotional, you don't really feel it. Mm-hmm. But then just because you're not in their heads. The problem with movies is, in comics, we're in their heads. We can see their thought bubbles. You know, they explain it out to you. Sometimes they write in little boxes like, oh, this person feels this way. In movies, we don't know that. So when she put her hand on him after he talked about his wife and child, and she just started crying, that was like one of the most touching points. Absolutely.
Get some kind of POV for a change from some of the characters. And man, that was also kind of funny. The whole Mantis, you know, or Star-Lord wanting to kind of bone Gamora. My gosh. I think Gamora is a total babe. So I was like, well, I know she's green and I have no idea what her species is and stuff, but yeah, I could buy into that.
See, and I actually liked Nebula more in this movie because of how they developed her more than I liked Gamora in this video, where I think I liked her more in the first one.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say the same thing. I like that backstory with Gamora and Nebula, how they were raised by Thanos, and he basically added a new part to her when she lost. I thought that was pretty cool. I thought overall with this movie, everybody could stand on their own with their own development. Mantis kind of got on my nerves a little bit, but I loved my favorite thing in this movie. If I had to say a favorite thing now, would be the line, at least, would be Yondu when he said, "He may be your father, but he's not your daddy boy." I just love that line.
I think that was easily the line of the movie.
Which line was the best line of the movie. All right. And it was by Yondu as well. Yeah.
I'm Mary Poppins, y'all.
I don't know.
I think hands
cool?
down,
Yondu
was
cool.
my favorite character in this movie. Hands down.
I agree.
Yeah, he was definitely a big riser. I mean, he was cool in the first one, but like at the very end of the last one, it's like, oh, I'm glad we should have dropped him off. Like, man, that guy, his daddy's a jerk or whatever at the first one. And the second one, we finally get context for it, and you go, whoa, that dude was like a hero. And he was totally outcast by the other Ravagers, and they just didn't get it. And it's kind of like the whole, I don't know, maybe like the Ned Stark and the R plus L equals J thing. He's now like, he has one black spot on his record, but it's because he was being like the most honorable dude ever, so like
Right.
it's so cool to add that to Yondu. Oh, I have to throw in something real quick. I know there's a lot of cool stuff in there, but my heart was breaking while I was in the theater when Baby Groot was getting messed with by the Ravagers. Oh, I was so sad.
Oh my god, I
was
hated
sitting
Baby
there.
Groot.
I
I
was like, they put the
fucking
little-
hated Baby Groot.
Oh,
What?
Oh no.
Yep. Baby Groot sucked.
Who's-
I hated him in the beginning when he was dancing during the battle. I wanted to see the battle. I didn't want to see Baby Groot. I hated Baby Groot.
okay.
Baby Groot
who's gonna
sucks.
reprimand Rorist? Who's doing this?
Oh my god. Dude, okay.
I knew when I saw those posters and Baby Groot was like being front and center. They were gonna milk him for everything, and they absolutely did. All right, come at me, bros. Come on.
Actually, no, I'm okay. I'm okay with that opinion. I just want to say, because I've been meaning to talk about this monster for this entire time.
Yeah.
Like, did anyone get as uncomfortable as me when the fucking mouth was just like right on your face? Like, it was just the quality of the graphics was just way too good, and you could see like every single fucking wrinkle and saliva bit and like all this shit. Like, oh my god, I don't know, it was just so. But I did love all the rainbow colors that the thing was throwing around. Like, I thought that was super cool.
I was
Oh,
only
that was
uncomfortable because I
beautiful,
went
yeah.
and saw it in Dolby 5.0 surround sound
Well,
and just shit
yeah.
my fucking chair.
Yeah.
Too bassy.
I think I went to IMAX.
My gosh. So, Rorist, is there any other universally loved and adored thing that you hate? Come on, tell us more.
I mean, with Guardians of the Galaxy or with things in general, because I fucking hate Deadpool. I will throw that out there. I fucking hate Deadpool and Harley Quinn. They can both just
Tarzan,
burn.
step up.
Damn it.
Holy crap.
I could live with you talking a little shit about Deadpool, but we ain't gonna have the Harley Quinn hatred. There's no way. It ain't happening.
Oh, Harley Quinn's great. I mean, don't get me
No,
wrong.
she's
She's on the wrong
being
end of an
thrown
abusive
out
This
too
relationship.
much,
movie
too
version,
much.
this new 52 version, I'm not a big fan of. I'm an old red and black fan, the Jester's outfit.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of this, trailer park horror look. It's not my thing.
Oh, yeah, just kind of redirecting it back to Guardians. I mean, I think this is the first time it's happened in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is they had like 4 after credit scenes or something.
Yeah, 4 or
Oh,
5.
there was 5 and they cut a 6th one.
Oh, they did? Okay.
They actually had 6, but they only did 5. So the first one was Kraglin using Yondo's arrow, which, by the way, oh my god, that arrow scene was one of the best scenes.
That's my
Oh, yeah.
favorite
when he
fucking
is
weapon.
just, oh my god, and it's just going through the
Oh,
ship,
yeah,
just killing all the
fuck.
people that betrayed him.
That was so awesome.
That was amazing.
Totally.
Yeah, and people were bitching about it, being like, "Oh, it's too meta, blah blah blah." I'm like, "No, fuck you. That was awesome."
Oh, no.
Am I taking up all the swearing quota for our podcast?
Gone.
No,
Yeah, that's cool.
I think that's my favorite weapon in the universe now. It's just just for him to whistle.
Oh, it was that ship scene was amazing. I loved it. The music and everything, so cool. So yeah, after credit scene number 1 was him trying to use the arrow. Number 2 was showing the original Guardians of the Galaxy group. Stallone was, remember, playing Starcar?
Something like that. Starhawk, Org, Stalker. Because one of them is his real name and the other one's just the hero name.
Yeah, so they showed us the original Guardians, which was really cool. And I think there was a hint that we might see them in the future. Like they might be doing a video about the original Guardians or a movie about it or something. I don't know. Which I'm super stoked
I think
about.
that's definitely what it may be. I mean, the fact that Sylvester Stallone was is the actor, you would think that means that something big could possibly happen if his involvement is here. I mean, this is a dude that still makes tons of money off of like Expendables 10. So, he's only going to be involved in winners.
Well, did you guys know that the that weird chick that was in that group with Stallone, that was freaking Miley Cyrus?
Oh, God.
Yeah, she did the voice.
die.
I was like, whoa, really?
Right? Yeah,
Why is she in the
yeah.
universe?
That was really
Why-
cool. So
Why couldn't she
That
have
was
been
a
the
shocker.
one that grabbed the Infinity Stone in the collector's place and then exploded? I would have preferred her be her. I'll no longer be your slave or sing Party in the USA.
Or swing around on a wrecking ball. God damn. Just keep your tongue in your mouth. Stop. Number 3 was Adam. Remember her
Was that Teenage Groot?
going to them and saying, man, I fucked up. And then she's saying, I've done our next step of evolution. And she said Adam. So we're getting Adam Warlock. He is involved in the Infinity Wars in the comics, but I think what they said is he will not be involved in the Infinity War. He's going to show up in Volume 3, which takes place after the Avengers movie.
I think James Gunn said that. We had loosely talked about, I mean, obviously he has a huge part in the Infinity Gauntlet storyline from the comics that all this is based around. But, it would be really tough to throw him in there too. With already so many prominent characters that have to get screen time.
It's full.
And then 4 was Teenage Groot, right? Which I thought was his branches are everywhere and his voice is cracking as he's saying Groot. And, Star-Lord is just so tired of him. I thought that was pretty awesome. I like Teenage Groot being all moody and, you guys are boring. I'm not boring.
He's like, God, is this what Yondu had to deal with me?
I know, that was
I am
awesome.
I got really,
And
I just have to throw in, I got really excited because I'm a Funko collector, like some of you may know, and Amazon just released a pre-order for an exclusive of Teenage Groot, and he looks miserable and he has his arms folded, and I was like, this is unnecessary because there's already like 4 Groots, but man, I'm gonna buy it because I need Teenage Groot.
Jeez. And then number 5 was the Watchers, and with Stan Lee cameo talking to them. And did you guys get the impression that they were trying to imply that Stan Lee was a Watcher?
I think so. That's really the only reason that should be there, wouldn't it be?
I don't think the Watchers are gonna. Do you think they're gonna have any part of any of this? I think it's just. I just think that was just another, an
I think
appearance
it was like
thing.
a nod, to like comic book fans.
That's all. I mean, because that's a whole other storyline in itself. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe with the whole Infinity War thing, maybe they will. I don't know. I don't think Stan Lee is going to be. I think that's just another Stan Lee cameo. That's all it is.
No, I think it was just a shout out to it. I don't think they'll be involved.
I thought Stan Lee, like when I watched it, I didn't even think twice about it possibly being a Watcher. I was just like, oh, he's an astronaut and he's talking to a Watcher. I mean, it doesn't make sense, but kind of going opposite of that. No, I didn't think that was the case, but there's people out there that think, Stan Lee's in every one of those movies, and it would make sense that he would be a Watcher because he's been in every one. So he's not an integral part of the story for any of them. So he's been watching and not, messing with the whole storyline. So that's where I guess it kind of makes sense, but no, I don't think so.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. It's not that, oh, this is going to come of it and it's going to be really important. I think it was more of a nod that he is a Watcher, and that's why we see him in all these cameos, because he's recording life, he's recording everything that's happening, and it was a fun little joke about it, why he's in all these different parts. At least that's how I took it.
And although actually an interesting thing about that storyline, well, I guess it's only interesting depending on who you are, but supposedly that storyline at the end of Guardians 2 was a continuity error in the MCU. Because I guess when he was sitting there talking to the Watchers, he said something like, yeah, and one time I was a FedEx guy or whatever, which I think was like a callback to I think it was Civil War, maybe one of the Captain America movies, either Winter Soldier or that. And apparently in the timeline of the MCU, this whole storyline is messed up. Like, actually, that should have happened after Guardians instead in the whole storyline. Even though the movie came out before Guardians, it actually was supposed to happen after. So it was kind of weird. Apparently, a few fans figured that out and told James Gunn. He's like, yes, I know. Okay, I messed it up. I wasn't thinking down to that detail. All right.
You gotta be careful.
It's true.
Comic
People
book
come right at you.
Are people that are enthused?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They want it.
Watch
They
it
want
one
it, and
time
they
to
want
figure
it
it
the
out.
right way. Okay. I on the other hand, I don't care.
So Vale and I liked it. It sounds like Kevin, Smokescreen, or Chris, sorry, and Tarzan were kind of about it. They didn't think it was better than Volume 1.
I'm not going to don't put words in my mouth. I think it was as good as a movie. I think like I said, they both had dead parts, and it definitely was fluent to the storyline. So yeah, I'm not saying it's worse or better. Really, I think I guess I'm more excited how all it fits into the Infinity War. I think that's really where I'm going with it.
Yeah, it's gonna be so fun when it comes all together. I mean, just seeing that one video of Star-Lord, Spider-Man, and I think it was Cap or Iron Man, I forget which one, kind of all standing together on like the first day on set of Infinity Wars. That was like, whoa, this is happening. And I cannot wait. Okay, so despite all the negative things I said about the second one in comparison to the first one, I think there was one part that just blew my mind. I don't know why it connected with me. I loved it so much. Was the part when Ego, like, he just casually dropped, man, it really killed me to put that brain tumor in your mother. And see Star-Lord just flip a switch. That was such a big deal to me because I think in movies, they like a bomb like that will drop, and then the main protagonist has a moment where like there's like 10 seconds of pause and self-reflection and going like, oh my God, this has all been a lie. No, Star-Lord just starts shooting Ego right away. And
that was awesome.
It was so epic, wasn't it?
It caught me by surprise. I was like, holy shit, what just happened?
And that's what you would expect.
Well, and then
you just found
there
out...
was question of why would he share that? And it was because he wanted a connection with his son, and he's not very good with social interactions. So he thought, I'm connecting with my son, and it was, no, you fucked up. And it's so sad then afterwards when Ego says, I'll just use him like I've used so many others in my existence. So, his trigger was so, fine, I tried to connect with you, you rejected me, I'll just use you like everyone else. Why do I care?
That's true. He really threw him away real quick. I mean, I don't know why I like that line. He just uses whatever electric force or whatever from the planet up, and he goes like, you're gonna pay for it by being a battery for 1,000 years.
Actually, I was wondering like the whole time, like was that his plan for him the whole time, or did he really want to work with him and keep him alive and be a team? Because I was thinking, well, maybe that was a lie too. Maybe he just wanted to turn him into a battery the entire time.
See, I do think that he did want to use him, and he was buttering him up, like when he called him like, oh, I heard a Star-Lord. He was, but on some level, he did want to connect with his son because he said he was trying to find that connection, and he found everyone so disappointing. And so when he found a person that was able to, he passed on what he needed, and then he just was another person that disappointed him by shooting him when he admitted about the tumor thing. And it's like, well, you just disappointed me like everyone else, so I'm just going to use you like everyone else.
Yeah.
No, definitely. I agree. I think he genuinely tried to, have some kind of partnership with Star-Lord, but, once he's like, oh, the brain tumor thing, and just started shooting, then because I saw him I saw it as a punishment rather than like I want to exterminate you. It was just like, you're gonna learn a lesson to just kind of bow down to what partnership terms
I'm gonna put your nose in the corner for 5 minutes, which is actually 1,000 years.
Gonna be rubbing it in there for 1,000 years like a punished dog. And genuinely, we'll try this again in the next, I don't know, millennia.
All right, well, let's go from one galaxy to the other. We recently had Star Wars: The Last Jedi drop a trailer, and the big debate is, of course, what the hell does The Last Jedi mean? So what do you think it means, guys? We're going gray?
That it's The Last Jedi.
Yeah, it's The Last Jedi. Luke is The Last Jedi. They've said it over and over again. Yoda said it. Then we had it in the opening crawl for The Force Awakens. Luke's the Last Jedi.
That's TBD. That's to be determined. I know they've been saying that he's the Last Jedi, but things change, I mean, clearly, what's Rey going to be doing with Luke this whole time then?
Maybe Rey becomes a Jedi, but as of right now, The Last Jedi is referring to Luke. Now, what I think is interesting is him saying that the Jedi need to go away. Because what is it with Skywalkers and trying to end the Jedi? We had Anakin wiping them out, hunting them down. Then we have, I guess he's a Solo, but we have Kylo exterminating the Jedi, or the little school that Luke started. And now Luke, a Skywalker, is like, yeah, those Jedi, man, they just gotta
I have
go.
a theory.
Yeah,
folks.
I think it's Luke is not going to train her as a direct Jedi. I think he's found the old text there from the trailer and going back to the original Jedi principle of balance. So I think that's where it's headed. So technically Luke will be the last Jedi.
No, I'm gonna avoid the logic you just used right now. And my theory is about Skywalker's trying to kill Jedi. It comes down to one word, everybody. Sand.
Psycho?
Sand.
Yeah,
They hate
that's true.
It's everywhere. Kylo Ren, it's a Solo, like you said. Kylo Ren keeps his helmet in a pit with what appears to be some synthetic sand. It just reminds me of how angry it makes him, so he can go out and kill.
It fuels his rage.
And he gets sand in his.
Like Luke even has a little thing of sand too.
Oh,
with him.
absolutely. Yeah, he gets sand in his helmet, and it goes down his shirt, and it just itches him, and he goes, they gotta die.
All right, end the podcast.
That's it.
We
Mystery solved.
Decoded the entire. Yep. Close it down. We figured this
promised-
out.
Makes sense to me.
It's that fucking sand.
We promised tinfoil theories, but unfortunately, that was solid logic. that was concrete. Good luck doing better than that.
Now, how do you think they're going to go forward? Because someone said, I believe it was Chris, they're going to go back towards the more balanced, which they definitely were more towards structure and order rather than the individual. And I think they got away from that. And you notice with Obi-Wan and Yoda, in their 2 decades of exile, they were like, maybe we weren't right. Especially Yoda. He was like, we were too systematic and we didn't really take into context, the person. Because the Jedi, after a while, started making more rules when they wanted to bring in the Jedi. And this is in current canon, not Legends. They wanted to bring the Jedi in more, so they started creating these rules. Okay, you can't be trained if you're above this certain age. You need to do this. You need to do that. And so it just became so systematic that they didn't look at the individual, which I think was their downfall.
Yeah, I think it's going back to the original, kind of the old canon, back to the so-called Bendu theory. They've been seeding this stuff for a while in Rebels and all that for the last couple of years. But the Jedi Order became too dogmatic and all that good stuff when the original Jedi Order on Tython, which I wish they'd keep the fucking planet named Tython. It was all about balance. They started throwing out the Ashla and the Bogan, the old names for light and dark and all that good stuff again. So I think that's where they're headed.
Yeah, definitely. And I really like Bendu in Rebels talking about, I'm not for either side. I'm walking down the middle. And I don't know. How do you guys feel about Grey Jedis? Because I have a lot of thoughts on these. And I know if you follow Pablo, he's part of the storyboard and he makes sure that everything fits and is correct in canon. He has some thoughts on Grey Jedi as well. But
can I ask a stupid question?
Sure.
There are no stupid questions.
Oh, come on.
No, go ahead.
I just want to explain to the audience that I am not very knowledgeable on Star Wars. And I was thinking, okay, this might be stupid, but it might just make sense. Okay, Grey Jedi is just like the balanced Jedis because it's like light is white and darkness is black, and then in the middle is gray.
So, in Legends, there's no Grey Jedis officially in current canon, but in Legends, a Grey Jedi walked between light and dark side of the Force, and they never surrendered to the dark side of the Force. They never ended up succumbing to all of it, but they could, in a lot of cases, they could use dark side abilities, which actually freaked out the Jedi because they thought that they were tainted. And then as the Jedi Order got more systematic and psychos about everything, if you went outside the Jedi Code, if you disagreed with the Jedi Council, they then said, you're a Grey Jedi. So it came to the point where it wasn't even, you're between light and dark and you can use dark side abilities. It's, you disagree with us, you're a Grey Jedi, so we don't trust you. So it kind of became more and more extreme.
Yeah, that's essentially how every Force war started from the old history was somebody went too far to the dark side or whatever, and they punished them by exiling them or whatever, when originally that's what it was all about, was balance, using both.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, so it could be between light and dark side, and not all of Grey Jedis use dark side abilities, but I don't know how you guys feel about this. The thing I didn't like about Grey Jedis is using the dark side of the Force. I don't know if you've read the novels. It's really intense when you start tapping into that. It's a black hole, this void of just anger and hatred that you never feel like you're going to get out of. And so the idea that someone can be a Grey Jedi and use the dark side abilities but not succumb to that dark side or the negative effects, I thought was kind of bullshit. Like, if you're going to have dark side abilities, there needs to be a punishment. There needs to be some sort of thing that takes a toll on you, and I just don't feel like they did that enough in Legends. But I know you guys are way into more Legends than I am. Tarzan and Chris.
I was going to say that goes back to the old canon and the beginning of all this stuff. You know, when you had the original Jedi Order, which was the original Force users on Tython. You know, when somebody got out of balance, they were sent to one moon or the other, which was called Ashland Bogan, where they got dark side, light side from, to meditate and bring themselves back into balance, because Tython would literally react to somebody being out of balance with earthquakes and shit. So that's how it all started. I think that's how it's all going to end.
I actually kind of, you know, when we talk about dark side and light side, I know they literally use the words dark side and light side, but when you're talking about the reprimand thing or the punishment, Rarst, it's interesting because you would think like it's a matter of perspective on whether or not that's considered a bad thing to channel the dark side or not. So I don't know. I'm kicking all this around because although I think I'm pretty well versed in the Star Wars universe, I think you all probably have a better base knowledge of especially non-canon stuff, stuff that they basically threw out the window when Disney bought it. I'm kicking it around. I think a lot of people, particularly when you hear the definition of what a gray Jedi is, a lot of people are really throwing around people like Qui-Gon. I wouldn't consider him one from what I know of the Gray Jedi, but definitely has disagreements with like the hierarchy and the Jedi Council and stuff, and is willing to go a little bit rogue.
Yeah, and they would, in Legends at least, consider him a Grey Jedi because he was disagreeing with the High Council. So they would consider that. Even if he's not using any dark side abilities, it's, oh, well, you're not following the Jedi code completely, you don't agree with us, you're a Grey Jedi. We don't want you being on our council because you're a loose cannon. Loose cannon.
And that's so silly, because that, like, when you hear ridiculous nonsense like that, you go, okay, now I understand why Order 66 happened. The Jedi Council are just crazy. If you don't listen to what they say, then all right, you're out. You're not a real one. Okay, go.
Yeah, but at some point it is a matter of perspective, because somewhere down the line from the old canon, as far as the old Legends, the dark side got associated with evil and the light side with good, and wasn't necessarily that way in the beginning.
Absolutely. That's where, because we always have to put that label on those things,
Yeah, I mean, like Palpatine, he was an evil bastard, but that doesn't mean that every dark side user in history was.
No, not at all. I mean, although it's not the same thing, but I just, I don't know, maybe you all can correct me on this, but even someone like Mace Windu sort of channeled to the dark side through his one fighting style, the Vapad. But it was more, I guess, redirecting dark side more than using it. I don't know. So there's elements of it present that it seems like people aren't terribly afraid of, but it's very scarce.
Well, Chris, let me ask you a question. When you think Grey Jedi and you think old canon / Legends, is there one character you think that kind of fills that role?
Revan.
Exactly. 100%.
Oh,
Revan.
yeah.
That is the grayest, I think. And I think because of the light and the dark thing, he would have been that happy middle. But I think the pull, you know what I'm saying? To be one or the other. And he's one of my favorite characters from the old canon. If you do not know about Darth Revan, fucking check it out.
Yeah, absolutely. He's the basically the poster child for Grey.
Absolutely.
Tarzan, explain how that works. How did what did Revan do?
To make a long story short, hops from one side to the other. But like Die Hard, not like, if he's good, he's good, and then when he's bad, he's bad. Does that make sense? And then, this is where I get confused, like from the YouTube thing, he finally finds his happy middle, where he's good, but he's still wearing kind of like a Sith-like outfit.
Oh, no, I was going to say, essentially, like you were saying, to make a long story short, he goes to after the Sith Emperor, but he gets turned, and then he comes back. The Jedi wipes his mind to bring him back to the light, so to speak, and then he finds a happy medium.
And that's exactly it. It's like the whole storyline is you got to be one or the other, when in real life, we're all probably a little both. And I think, Chris is on the money. That's probably how the story is going to end. It's going to be the happy middle.
So what is Luke going to... Is he going to train people and call them something besides the Jedi?
I think he may not necessarily teach her... I don't know. It's hard to say, but I think those texts, which I believe is supposed to be the first paper in the Star Wars galaxy, the book still on the teaser.
Are you talking about the Journal of the Wills? Is that what you're
I don't know. Is that the Journal of the Wills? We don't really know, right? So I think he may teach her that the Jedi were actually wrong as far as being so dogmatic, and there's not necessarily a problem tapping into the dark side if need be.
That's what it looks like to me, I would say. I mean, when I know in the beginning I was like, oh, wonder who the last Jedi is. Yeah, it definitely seems like Luke he's not going to all 180 go like, well, that means he's a Sith by saying that The Last Jedi or even a Dark Jedi. I think he's definitely trying to do this viewpoint of there's some kind of balance in the middle. And I think I'm assuming that's what he's going to try to teach Rey as well. So I agree with Chris on that for sure.
I want to see how he got to this point, because we know the naive farm boy, and then who he is now, the heartbreak that he had to go through. Think of this guy. He's the last Jedi. He wanted to create the Jedi Order again, bring it back. He did all this traveling, trying to find artifacts, and then for it to end in his, at the end of his life, where it's all destroyed, and he's like, well, my entire life I was doing this, it was wrong. So what happened to lead him to this point, how that's affecting him, and what he's going to do in the future.
I mean, a triggering event probably is Kylo Ren, Lord Snoke getting Kylo Ren to kind of turn around and help slaughter all his Padawans and stuff and get rid of the temple.
They have to be so careful with that, though, because if we show that Luke was a coward or he ran away, there needs to be a really good reason why he exiled himself, a really good reason, because if it's just, okay, I fucked up or my nephew fucked up, so now I'm going away, you're going to look at Luke differently. There needs to be a really good reason for what he did.
I have one that's very, very tinfoily.
Oh, I love tinfoil.
Well, I mean, it makes sense, too. I don't like to get, way out there, but what if the whole reason why he exiled himself is because, maybe Kylo slayed down his wife and thought his child was dead as well?
Oh, so are you saying Rey's his child?
Very possibly. I think it's yeah.
If J.J. Abrams is telling the truth, she is not.
JJ's lied before.
No, he
What the hell he said about the Star Trek thing?
Yeah.
No Khan in the movie? Liar.
Yeah.
Kathleen Kennedy
Liar.
said this thing was about the Skywalker family. That's just, I don't see it being any other way.
Did anyone watch the Star Wars Celebration? This was really scary. Mark Hamill was on stage and he said, what you have to realize is this isn't my story anymore. This is no longer about me. And you could see Kathleen Kennedy. I'm sure this is all over YouTube. Watch her body language. She instantly got really, her body got rigid, and she has been saying over and over again, no, this is absolutely still about the Skywalker family. This is still about Luke. This is still Luke's story. So why did Mark Hamill say, this is no longer about me. This is no longer about, Luke. It's about, we're moving on to something else. And then Kathleen Kennedy's like, no, that's not. No, it's definitely still about the Skywalkers. Why did that happen?
I would think he was just talking
Anyone got
about
tinfoil?
passing the torch to the next Skywalker, I'd imagine.
It's because he's the Joker and he loves chaos.
I don't know. That actually made me really sad when I watched that panel, and I was like, whoa, is this hinting that Luke is going to go away, or maybe he dies, he becomes a Force ghost, and then we move on to a new family?
I mean, probably.
But on the same side, I'd be really sad if the Jedi go. I still want Jedis.
Oh, yeah.
Just, different type of Jedis.
Yeah, we definitely want Jedi. I mean, I don't know. When it all comes down to this.
Oh, yeah, Jedi is plural, isn't it? I don't need to add
Yeah,
the
it's like deer and deer,
Yeah. I know. I catch myself all the time.
I don't want to be the guy to say it. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. No. I realize it when I do it. I do it all the time. I'm like, you don't need to add the S to that word. It's perfectly fine. So yeah, no.
No, I got you. But I don't know. As far as at least the,
everyone in the comments section is going to say it. Everyone in the comments section, right?
Oh, absolutely. Samuel, not
Jedi.
Samuel.
Not Jedi. Come on, get your shit together, Roars.
Every time. No, as far as the family thing goes, I think it'd still be about the Skywalker family, but not be necessarily about, Rey is a Skywalker. I mean, Kylo Ren technically is a Skywalker. I mean...
Okay, but there's a scary theory about that. Do you know about all the, what do we call it? The Reylo? The Kylo? I don't know. There's shippers about Rey and Kylo that those two are going to get together, and that's how they're going to continue the Skywalker family. Somehow she's going to redeem him, he's going to be pulled back, and then they're going to get together and they're going to continue the Skywalker family, which makes me want to barf everywhere. But how would you guys feel about Kylo and Rey getting together?
I'll just puke. I'll
Chitty, bang,
puke right
banging.
beside you.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, if Rey's not a Skywalker, I don't care. I mean, I'm in the camp of thinking that Rey's actually a Kenobi. So it wouldn't bother me one bit.
Wait. Stop the press. Nope. Okay, wait, Kevin.
Get him.
Yeah. Everyone, let's gang up on Kevin. Why do you think she's a Kenobi? How's that work out?
Okay. I'll try to remember off the top of my head.
He's
why
like, it's
exactly
on.
I remember
It's on.
all the points here. Okay, so all right. First, so I went off of the base one is that JJ said it wasn't someone who's appeared so far in The Force Awakens. He could be lying, but I'll just go with him on that one and say that's the case. At first, and next point, at first I thought this is one of the dumbest points possible, which was her accent. I know. It's like, well, they just had it. But she was abandoned at age of like, I don't know. I don't remember exactly age. It was like 8 or 9. It was like 7 or 8, something like that, where she could have spent enough time with her father to pick up on his accent. It's or not father, grandfather. It is possible that is the case. Chris is right, though, that it would have to be the grandfather and not the father. The timeline just doesn't work out. As far as the desert planet thing, kind of going to a remote location, I mean, that was something Ben Kenobi was like, oh, you're definitely going to be pretty safe when you go on a planet like this. So, I mean, that seems like something that could possibly work out. Now, to be fair, I don't know what the son would be and how they would have hooked up. I've heard rumors before that the idea that whoever their child is, Ben Kenobi's child, is the product of him and Sabine from Rebels. I don't know if that's the case. I haven't actually gotten through Rebels yet, but it sounds like an interesting scenario based off of what I know of the character.
Well, you know what I was thinking about it, because I think you're absolutely right. If you noticed, what you said is she's the only one that kept that accent. So that's interesting. And then, you know how they kept pushing other video, like the Star Wars stories, except for an Obi-Wan, and the theory is that there's something going to be revealed in the next Star Wars trilogy that's going to show, something happened with Obi-Wan, because there's a lot of time he was on that planet, and I don't think he was on that planet the entire time. He was going and he was doing things. So he could have found someone, he fallen in love, had a baby, that kid grew up, and then had Rey. That's absolutely possible.
But would he break the Jedi code by doing so? Huh?
What Jedi is there to follow anymore?
Well, I'm just saying, would he do it?
2 decades is a long time to think about what was wrong and right with the Order and what you're doing with your life. And he fell in love before. He could do it again, and, maybe he just went for it. You got to get that booty. Maybe he had a booty call. Maybe it's just...
Absolutely. I mean...
Yeah, there are a lot of bars on Tatooine.
I mean, I think this is like something that we could have legitimate, like, just debate on who is the parents of Rey. I don't know if we want to get into that necessarily, but I'm definitely on the Kenobi train right now. But there's tons of options. It could be someone we don't know. Someone threw out the idea of Palpatine being the father, and I was like, I don't know about that, but maybe. But that could be something cool to talk about at in another episode of the podcast for sure.
Well, I'll just wrap my thoughts up for The Last Jedi with this. As far as the meaning goes, I think that if you look at the last movie, it was a parallel with A New Hope. I mean, it was exactly the same. Rey was Luke, essentially, in that situation. And all the stuff we talked about before about it kind of goes back to the Anakin thing, the chosen one. They didn't understand how he was supposed to destroy the Sith and then bring back balance, which made no sense to me, because if you have Jedi, no Sith, there's no balance. So they didn't understand he had to kill all the Jedi too before the Sith. And Luke is the last in that sense.
Bendu says that. He says, maybe it's the will of the Force that the Jedi all become extinct. He's like, maybe that's what needs to happen. So that very could be what the Force wanted, that they had to go away and something new had to come. So yeah, you're absolutely right. We don't know. We don't know the will of the Force.
Yep. And ultimately, the word Jedi came from an old species. I believe it was Talid or something like that, the Talid species, and it means mystic center. So there you go.
Well, look
Boom.
at there.
I had no idea that existed.
Today.
That was a thing.
Vale just wasn't taken to school. It was me too.
Knowledge bomb.
Well, speaking of movies, we're going to end the Star Wars segment at this time. We're going to jump over to movie trailers. Today, we're going to talk about Wonder Woman, Pirates, and Spider-Man Homecoming.
And I've got to say, I've never known anything about Wonder Woman. I don't know where she comes from, and I don't know what she's all about. And what I loved about the trailer, or about stuff that I watched after the trailer that was about what the movie is going to be about, is that the movie will explain everything about Wonder Woman. So it's not for, people who already know about her. It's for people to learn about her. And I really like that. So we will know where she came from. I love to learn through the trailer that she was born from Zeus. Like, I had no idea. So,
Yeah.
but the trailer was awesome, so I'm definitely watching that movie.
Yeah, we'll get the whole entire Amazonian backstory on her.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like we get that. I mean, it looks like this guy Steve, I guess he's from, Steve from the block, ends up kind of like crashing around there to the island of, I think, Themyscira is what it's called, where all like the Amazonians are and stuff. And when that goes down, it looks like he's pleading for help from them for something, and I guess it ends up working out. We see, him and Wonder Woman back in, I guess, normal America and trying to figure out this whole deal with a war going on. I think it's World War One, but I'm not totally sure.
Yeah, it's World War One, and her people don't want her to go. Like, she questions, why don't we do what we're made to do, which is protect them? And they go, the world of man isn't worth it anymore. It's not worth protecting them, and she's kind of going out, and I feel like she's going to prove that it is worth it. So I guess Vale, not being a comic reader, Vale, how do you feel about her outfit? Like, do you have any thoughts about it?
Actually, I was thinking about that while watching the trailer. Like, I know superheroes. Okay, I know superheroes wear like silly looking stuff, so it's not that weird. But when you really think about it, I mean, I guess she's so powerful that she really doesn't need like a full body armor or anything. And I don't mind at all that she might be showing some skin. That's fine with me. It's just like the silly thing on her forehead and stuff like that. But I mean, like that's what superheroes and comics are about. So I mean, I do get that. But it's just funny to think about.
You wouldn't fight in a strapless top? That wouldn't be comfortable for you?
Comfortable. It would be comfortable.
That sounds like a nightmare. No, a top without straps and then fighting. Man, she has to be pulling that up all the time, or it's squeezing the hell out of her.
That's kind of funny that you all talk about this, because that's actually that's
there's
part
your
of the
female
trailer.
perspective right there.
Yeah, no, that seems like a nightmare. She takes it off at the end of the day, and she has red lines from like choking right above her breasts. Like, it has to be
tan
insane.
lines.
Suck.
Forget it.
Yeah. Oh
the
god,
tan
tan
lines.
lines. She just dead giveaway.
At least it's not a
She can't
farmer
go to the
tan.
beach or anything. Yeah, that is true.
The wardrobe is actually a whole part of the trailer. When she was, trying on a dress, she's like, "How's anyone fighting this? My God!"
Oh yeah. Well, I guess
I love her having the dress with the sword. At the party.
Yeah, that's cool.
You see her walking in that beautiful blue dress, and then you see her sword, and she's like reaching for it. I thought that was so cool looking. Also, you know how in the comics, I know they've changed her armor quite a bit, but a lot of times she wears like the boots. I love her armored boots in the trailer.
Oh yeah.
They look phenomenal. Like, they kept doing close-ups of it, so they know it's good. And I was like, oh yeah, it was armor porn. I swear, that entire trailer.
It reminded me a little bit of Iron Man.
So I have one big question here. Now, besides the wardrobe malfunctions, are we? And I'm kind of really excited to hear your opinions. There's been a lot of backlash on this actual subject. Does Gal Gadot, if I'm saying her name properly, do you guys buy or sell her being Wonder Woman? I personally, she's put on the muscle, and I think she looks great as Wonder Woman.
Dude, I don't know. I had never heard of her before, but she's fucking great. I mean, I don't know. She's hot.
Damn right she is. No, I buy it completely.
She's gorgeous. Yeah. She's gorgeous. I do wish she was a little bit muscular, honestly, because Wonder Woman's supposed to be big.
Yeah, that she's not big enough.
Yeah.
She's tall enough, I think.
I just don't think. Oh yeah, but I don't think she could. Like, just she's so slender. I feel like it would take her a lot to put on that type of muscle she'd need to look like Wonder Woman, which I think she absolutely could, but
Give her
I don't
time.
know.
I don't know what you
think
guys know about her. She is training.
I feel like
her
this
ass
would
off.
be. Well,
yeah. Oh yeah, I've seen she's like put, what is it, on Instagram, like videos of her working out, I think. Or I might be thinking about someone else. Yeah, I don't think it's a huge deal because it's a comic book story. It's not supposed to be completely real. I wish she was a little bit muscular, but I'm not gonna
that's the thing. Like,
bitch nonstop
is
about
she
it.
muscular in the comic books?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she definitely has a lot more definition, like those legs.
A lot more definition, yeah, but she is an Amazonian goddess, so. That's how
Very
they buy with
warrior
it.
Xena, warrior princess looking, I guess is a good way to put it, right?
Yeah.
Well, isn't this movie also like her coming of age? So she could be like, she's still like a teenager.
Yeah, they live for like a super long time. I mean, I just think she just happens, just kind of be smaller. But, oddly enough, that's been a big criticism around her being cast, and that's kind of a bummer because I think she's fine. I mean, I can buy into it.
Well, you want to know the other criticism I heard, which was huge, was, well, Wonder Woman's boobs are bigger in the comics.
Right.
It's
Here we go with the
really?
boobs.
Come on. Yeah, it's always about the fucking boobs.
Well,
So people are going to bitch. It's never going to be perfect. But honestly, and I know this is probably going to get a lot of hate, I think she was the best part of Batman versus
Oh yeah,
Superman.
she sold that character well, very well.
Oh, yeah. When she gets knocked back and that smile on her face as she, charges forward, it was just perfect. And her theme is amazing.
No, I agree. I
So-
think the whole Batman v Superman thing was a Zack Snyder Batman film that just happened to have Superman for a few minutes in it. So she was definitely the highlight.
Oh, yeah. So I'm excited about this movie, but
I just want to say one last thing. I think the effects in this movie are going to be awesome.
Oh yeah.
oh, yeah, her lasso? Hell yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so moving on to Pirates, I'm going to say this. I have not watched the last video. I am so tired of Pirates of the Caribbean, and I absolutely hate Johnny Depp. So you're welcome for the 1,000 dislikes on this
Wow.
video. I hate Johnny Depp. I actually almost walked out of Lone Ranger because I just couldn't stand him. Yeah, bring on the hate.
Wow.
I'm not taking it back.
Wow. Okay, I will say, Johnny Depp can annoy the hell out of me sometimes in some movies, but in Pirates of the Caribbean, he's fucking, the best. I can't, that's his best character, in my opinion.
And all that hate mail goes to Roris, by the way. That's Roris talking.
MyRoris at gmail.com. Make sure you tell me I'm a heinous bitch and I should go hang myself.
They will be punished. We're gonna duct tape her to Kevin throughout the Con of Throne.
Oh, God.
All right, so now this Pirates 5 is dropped. I personally thought Pirates 4 was absolutely horrible. I'm not a Penelope Cruz fan, but I am happy they're bringing back Orlando Bloom. They're kind of acting like that movie kind of really didn't happen. It looks like from the trailer. They're kind of picking up where 3 left off, which is kind of like with the Flying Dutchman whole thing, and Will Turner now being in control of that ship. And then bringing back Barbosa, which I think we all love him. And that damn monkey.
Yeah. Oh, that monkey, man.
Oh, man. And surprise, surprise, the main villain is an undead guy
Yeah.
that has a ship. What a surprise.
I was going to say that too. I hope it doesn't feel that repetitive. I mean, I feel like it will.
I'm
Maybe that's
so
not
tired
what
of Pirates of the Caribbean.
is all about. I mean, Pirates of the Caribbean is about all the super creative action scenes and all that. It's not really.
Well, we don't have to keep having the undead, guy with the ship thing. I mean, we could do something else.
the undead guy with the ship that is after Jack Sparrow. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, every film, actually, yeah. But I mean, overall, it aesthetically, it's a good looking film. It looks like the storyline's going to be halfway decent. Now, you're making me feel like, the whole Star Wars thing, okay, we were just repeating the same shit over and over. And now I think a little less about it than I did 5 minutes ago. But the Captain Salazar character, I'm not sure who the actor is. Looks like he does a pretty good job in this. It looks like we're going to get that.
Didn't he look like Mance Raider?
Yeah, kind of, sort of. Yeah, he does look like Man.
Yeah. I was like, man, I gotta look this guy up.
Wow,
'cause,
the shit we can.
the King Beyond the Wall is now an undead ship driving guy, captain, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm so not invested in these movies. Can you tell? I'm just like, whatever.
Starring as Captain
a ship.
Salazar, Mance Raider.
I swear to God, I'm gonna see this movie. We're gonna talk about it. I'm just gonna bitch about it nonstop.
Oh, Lord.
That'll be fun.
Just piss everyone off.
Wait, the guy, okay, is Barbosa in this movie? Because I saw this
Yes.
guy in the trailer that looked like him.
And that damn
And I was
monkey
super
Barbosa.
confused because... So
Yeah,
I
he's
was
a-
wondering how this fits in the timeline. Is this after, before? I don't know. Well, because you said that kid is the son of,
Will Turner, I believe, yeah.
Will Turner. So, must
He
be
has the
after.
Flying Dutchman. He's the one that took Davy Jones's place, right? Correct?
Yeah, it has his heart in a box now, right?
Yeah, that's correct. most of your characters are returning, it looks like. She's not, what was it, Keira Knightley? She's not returning, but it looks like they're replacing her with the love interest of the son. I haven't researched the actors maybe as well as I should have. I apologize. But yeah, I mean,
I don't apologize for
it
not
aesthetically
doing it.
looks like a good movie. It does. It looks like it'll be fun, unless you're a fucking Johnny Depp hater and a ginger.
Yeah. He's just doing this movie to play as a divorce settlement.
Yeah, maybe so. But I will say this, Johnny Depp hater or not, I personally, I think a lot of people agree with me, is that this is probably the best character out of all the Johnny Depp movies I've seen that I think he's done. I really like this Jack Sparrow character.
That's what I was saying.
This is definitely someone I would hang out with. I would definitely ride the turtles with him and be stranded drinking rum on the island. That would be a good time.
Yeah, I don't know how. Like, he is so dumb in the movie, and at the same time, and so like dirty looking and all this stuff, and at the same time they make him look sexy somehow. I don't understand.
Yes. So is there another trailer? Wasn't there something about a Spider-Man or something?
Well, let's get Kevin's opinions first on what he thought of that trailer.
Tell us what you think.
I'm not so negative about this one as I was towards Guardians, but actually no, I'm worse with this one. I'm not like crazy excited about Spider-Man Homecoming. Spider-Man's he's a character that I know is like totally beloved and everything, but I don't know, he's okay to me. Although I really like the potential of this Peter Parker based off what we saw from Civil War. So in this trailer, we see, a bit more of that stuff that makes him pretty cool, I think. We get to see, kind of the origins, how he's going around with his own custom suit. And then I guess we kind of see later on after Tony Stark kind of pops in and is like, here you go, you get a super suit now and you can fight crime with that. So that's pretty cool. Good to see that. And we get, it looks like a lot of Iron Man. So I think that's great, but I'm fearful, everybody, that this means that we're going to get kind of like half of an Iron Man movie instead of a Spider-Man movie. I don't know, but that's kind of the impression I got. What do you all think about that?
I don't know, man. I think I got a feeling, Kevin, your favorite character is like Green Lantern or something. I love Spider-Man.
I love the Green Lantern.
I'm just saying,
Wait, what's wrong with Green Lantern?
Just saying.
Green Lantern.
You motherfucker! There is nothing wrong with Green
right?
Lantern.
But anyway, my perspective is Spider-Man's my all-time favorite Marvel character, or character in general, I think. I'm digging Tom Holland as Peter Parker. This kind of goes back to what he's supposed to be. A young Peter Parker in high school, awkward kid, nerd, learning what the hell's going on, learning his powers. I thought I liked Garfield before, after I thought I liked, what's his name in the first Spider-Man movies, before he went crazy.
Tobey
Maguire. And with this trailer, I love the suit. The Stark suit. I think it looks good. I like the webbing under the arms, back to the old school comics. And I'm kind of digging the spider drone thingy that pops off his chest. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and what I really want to see, Spider-Man, the thing about Spider-Man is he constantly gets the shit beaten out of him. Like, he even says over and over again, I laugh and make jokes because it's the only way I cope with all the awful things that have happened. So in this trailer, just seeing him messing up and Tony being like, no, you can't do this anymore. That's what I hope we're seeing, is Spider-Man constantly getting the shit kicked out of him like he did in the beginning. He was constantly getting smacked around. And I want to see that in this movie. And it makes me hopeful seeing it and Tony taking away the suit and him looking like he's being smacked around by the villains. Like, that's the Spider-Man we're getting.
Well, my opinion is I love Tom Holland in this role. And I always like these British actors that, fake the American accent. The big thing is like, going back to what Chris said, even, the old comics or even watching the freaking Electric Company, Spider-Man is a smartass. You know what I mean? He really is, but not, to a vulgar point. And I think he nails that part of this character. I think he's got it down, and adding Michael Keaton in this doesn't hurt a damn thing.
No, that makes it so much better. Michael Keaton, previously I had known him for I think 2 movies. First one, well, 3 technically, Batman, the 2 in the 90s, and then Multiplicity, and then like 15 years later, he made a comeback in The Other Guys, and I was like, whoa, he's actually awesome. And then he did that movie Birdman, I think.
Yeah. I'm glad he's coming back.
He's on fire.
He's a
Well, you're
phenomenal
fired,
actor.
Kevin, for not mentioning Beetlejuice. I don't know how you could leave that.
Well, yeah, you're okay. Yeah, I can't fight that one. That was bad.
Yeah, I'm digging Michael Keaton in this as Vulture. I think he's like a good starting villain for him, so he's not full-fledged Avenger yet while he's still kind of learning what the hell's going on.
Yeah, he does kind of give off that, like, it's funny that he did Birdman. He kind of gives off this vibe as like a kind of like a kook in a bird suit again. So interesting.
I think it was awesome that they mentioned YouTube in the trailer. I mean, it's okay. This is a weird thing, but I really like it when movies are like up to date with what's going on in real life.
What about when they use Bing for their search engine?
Oh god.
How do you feel about that?
Jesus.
No, yeah, that's bad. Yeah, that takes me out of the experience.
I hate fucking Bing, and I work for Microsoft. I hated it there.
That.
Yeah, but no, I agree that this movie looks pretty good. Like, I mean, the kid looks like he's doing a good job, and I think it's gonna be fun. I don't know. I feel like Iron Man's gonna be there just enough. Did seem like it's mainly focused on Spider-Man, and yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I
Looking forward to
definitely
it.
think Iron Man's probably going to be there in the beginning. Peter's gonna fuck up. He's gonna take the suit away, and then we won't see Tony for a while. So I don't think he's going to be in the whole movie. I think he's mostly just going to be in the beginning. At least that's the impression I got.
Yeah, I think they threw Tony Stark in there a lot for the advertisement of the movie. I don't think he's going to be as much as the trailer portrays he will.
What we saw in the trailer is probably going to be what we see mostly of him in the movie. They've done that plenty of times with other characters.
Exactly. Yep. And I think also him being in there is trying to help push this Spider-Man, because I think some people maybe have a little fatigue with Spider-Man. So being like, hey, Marvel has this look, or, Disney is helping with this. We have Iron Man in it. It's going to be okay. Come see it. It's going to be awesome. I think it's also trying to help draw more people in, because I know I didn't watch the last Spider-Man one with that other guy, Garfield, right? Was he?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because I was done. I was like, nope, you're not going to break my heart anymore. I'll pass.
And I agree with you, but my big thing is this Tom Holland kid. I'm sold. I'm sold on Tom Holland.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that right
yeah.
now. I think he's going to be better than the other two, hands down, just from what I've seen so far.
He's got a heck of a mountain to climb right now. I mean, maybe not as an actor solely for Peter Parker, but for one of these movies to be better than Spider-Man 2 or even Spider-Man 1, from the originals with Toby, I want to call him Toby
Maguire.
Keith. Yeah, Tobey Maguire. Yeah, it's going to be tough. Because those are some pretty solid movies. I don't know.
It looks like he's going to nail it. The Spider-Man, I mean, maybe Chris will agree with me, maybe he won't. But the ideal that I have of that old Spider-Man, and the kid and maturing into this character that takes on people like Venom and Carnage, I think this kid's going to pull it off better than I think. What's his face? Garfield. He was a little morbid for me, and I don't know. Maguire was just a little too cheesy for me at times. I think this kid's going to be the happy middle.
I definitely
I thought
agree
Garfield
with
was
that.
too cool for it, to be honest.
Yeah, Garfield was too much of a cool cat player in college. He was too old and didn't fit the original Peter Parker.
Well, actually, just kind of a last thing for this. I mean, I know these are the characters we saw in the trailer, but from what I remember, it looked like Shocker was possibly in it too, in addition to Vulture. I don't know. Does anyone else read that? It's because I heard a hint of it.
What about Kite Man?
What I've heard is that Shocker is probably going to be the big bad for the second movie. I could be wrong. We'll have to investigate in that when we get a little closer to the movie. When is the release date for that? Does anybody know?
Oh God, I have no idea.
Shit, I forgot.
summer.
It's either July or it's this summer. I know that.
Yeah,
Here, let me bing it.
Ah.
We don't have an hour, okay?
Would you like to YouTube it, Val? Val, do you want to YouTube it?
Yeah.
The one thing they haven't gotten right.
I'm sorry.
Oh wait, what is it?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's July the 7th, by the way.
Okay, all right.
The week before Game of Thrones.
Woo!
Cool.
Of course.
Sounds like a fun month.
Yeah, I was.
Is it worth mentioning that Captain America makes a cameo in it too?
He's in it? I didn't see
Yeah.
Captain America.
the fitness
Yeah, that's worth
challenge?
mentioning.
I don't know.
God. Okay. Well, after dropping that bomb, is there any more to explain about the cat being in it, or is that all you know, Val?
Well, you guys haven't seen it?
Are you talking
That
about
is a
when
Cap?
his friend
I never
asks,
saw Captain American.
Are you asking?
Yeah.
Is it when his friend says, "Do you know him?" during the Captain America fitness challenge, and he goes, "Was it? Yeah, I stole his shield."
Oh, when he's on the TV.
Yeah,
and he's-
doing the Cap fitness challenge, which is totally
Yeah.
something he would do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Is that the cameo
Oh,
you were
I thought
referring
something
to?
else was
Phil?
going on. I was like, what? Shouldn't
Yeah,
he be in
yeah.
like exile?
I'm feeling very trolled right now.
I had
Damn
a
it, Val.
super random question. Okay, the Spider-Man suit, the eyes, they've always moved, right? Like from the first movie?
No.
Like, have they always been like super expressive?
No.
I feel.
No,
don't
that's
you
a
feel
Stark
like?
exclusive.
Don't you feel like
Yeah.
Deadpool? They nailed it down, and so they felt more comfortable to do it with. Or wait, what came first? God, I'm getting movies mixed up. What came first, the Civil War or Deadpool? What came out first?
Deadpool.
Deadpool. So he did an amazing job with the eyes. So I felt like it gave them more courage to do Spider-Man's eyes right.
I think it looks super cute
Oh yeah.
on Spider-Man.
Not Deadpool.
No, no.
I'll leave Deadpool alone, man.
That was so backhanded.
I just
Deadpool
think
looked great.
Deadpool is overdone is all.
Well, now he is for sure. I mean, that's the go-to for everyone who, the anti-hero just
Cosplays.
runs wild for people.
Yeah.
Like, that's why Val loves Littlefinger, because you just like those people that you can't totally love, but they kind of help you out sometimes. Yeah.
Val, shame.
Big
shame.
reveal there, man. Don't shame. Yeah, man. Dude, there's so many people who are hiding their love for Littlefinger. I swear to God, like we've been shut down, and it sucks. The Littlefinger lovers. I just shout out to you guys. You are the best.
We are small but mighty.
There are literally dozens of us.
Dozens! It's like Never Nudes from Arrested Development.
All 12 of you should go to a Littlefinger convention or something.
Dress up like Littlefinger. Oh.
He's a good horse to bet on. But anyway, but that's not what we're talking about. Sorry, we're talking about Spider-Man. My gosh. Yeah, so we're pretty hyped for that trailer. It looks like we got some pretty cool stuff going on. Looks like
Does
they're going to do
anyone
this
wanna
one
talk
right.
about the elephant in the room?
The elephant in the room.
The one
What's
thing
that?
that they messed up yet again with this new Spider-Man series, the reboot.
What?
Mary Jane, the actress, is still not a natural redhead, and I am offended.
Oh,
I am pissed.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't hire
Yeah,
a
but we
natural
shouldn't
redhead.
have Mary Jane at his age, though. It should be Gwen, right? Mary Jane
Yes.
comes later.
Yeah.
yes, Gwen. Yes,
Yeah, we need
Gwen
to
Stacy.
watch him snap her neck.
Singing the song of my people. Why isn't she a natural redhead?
That pisses me off. And people were
Yeah.
getting really upset about the actress, and they're like, oh, she's not Caucasian or whatever. I'm like, that's not what I'm pissed about. I'm pissed about that, once again, us redheads, we get gypped. Like
People
Daredevil,
just need to get over
he
it.
wasn't a
Just need to get
redhead
over it.
either. They're fucking us redheads over. This is a problem. This is discrimination. We are less than 2% of the population, and you guys are stomping all over us.
We're less than 2%, but we're 100% still real people.
Yeah.
We have feelings.
We have tons of souls, one for every freckle.
We have at least 95% of us with souls.
I have a little red in my beard, if that counts.
Yeah, me too. I'm partially a ginger beard.
Yeah.
Ginger beard.
All right, so I think that'll do it for this podcast. We're going a little long here, I'm sure, but we're going to leave you with this question. This is something that Rorus actually came up with, I believe. We all know The Lord of the Rings and The Fellowship of the Ring and Game of Thrones, two of our favorite. What would be your 9 characters to go on The Fellowship of the Ring from Game of Thrones? Alive or dead? Is that right, Rorus? Or alive or dead?
Yep, alive or dead.
Alive or dead, what would be your favorite characters from Game of Thrones to be your Fellowship? And you can go to our YouTube channel and leave your comments and let us know what you think. All right, so that'll wrap it up. That'll do it for us this week. We'll be back next week with more Game of Thrones talk, Star Wars, and movie trailers, etc. So we hope you enjoyed experiencing the side effect.
So who wants to flog Kevin first? Any volunteers?
You're the Spider-Man from YouTube.
Thank you for listening to the Side Effect Podcast. and winter is coming.
For more information or to reach out, please visit thesideeffectpodcast.com.
thesideeffectpodcast.com.
Tune in next week to experience more of The Side Effect.
The Side Effect.